A widow can do everything right. She can call the funeral home, close the accounts that need closing, find the marriage certificate, sit at the kitchen table with a folder full of papers, trying to hold her life together while everyone tells her, just call Social Security. And that is where the mistake can begin. Not because she is careless, not because she is trying to game the system, not because she did not love her husband or understand money, but because Social Security survivor benefits have timing rules that many families do not understand until the check is already reduced. A widow may think, my husband passed away, so I should claim his benefit right away. That sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible. It sounds like the safe thing to do when one household suddenly loses one Social Security check. But here is the quiet danger. Claiming a survivor benefit too early can reduce the widow's monthly survivor check for life. And for a woman in her early 60s, that one decision may affect not just next month, but the next 20 or 30 years of retirement. This is not about panic. It is not about blaming widows who needed income immediately. Sometimes claiming early is necessary. Sometimes it is the only practical choice. But the mistake is claiming before understanding the trade-off. In this video, we are going to walk through the survivor benefit mistake that can cut a widow's check, why the rules are different from regular retirement benefits, how the timing can change the amount, and what questions a widow or adult child should ask before filing. Because after a spouse dies, the family is grieving. That is not the moment to discover that one rushed phone call may have locked in a smaller check for the rest of her life. For many older couples, Social Security is not extra money. It is the mortgage payment, the property tax reserve, the grocery budget, the Medicare premium, the prescription copay, the utility bill, the money that keeps the surviving spouse from depending completely on children. When both spouses are alive, the household may receive two checks. One may be larger, one may be smaller. Together, those two checks create a rhythm the household understands. Then one spouse dies. The household does not usually keep both full checks. In many cases, the surviving spouse may receive the higher amount, or a survivor amount based on the deceased spouse's record, depending on the situation. But the smaller check may disappear. That alone can shock a widow who believed the household income would stay closer to the same. Now add one more layer. If the surviving spouse claims the survivor benefit before reaching her survivor full retirement age, that survivor benefit may be reduced. SSA explains that a surviving spouse can receive up to 100% at survivor full retirement age, while earlier claiming can start around 71.5% and increase as the person waits. That difference can matter. A few $100s a month may not sound dramatic to someone who is still working, but for a widow on a fixed income, it can decide whether she repairs the roof, keeps the car, stays in the home, or asks her children for help. Here is the part most people miss. A survivor benefit decision is not only about whether money is needed now, it is about which benefit should be claimed first, whether the widow has her own retirement benefit, whether her own benefit could grow, whether the deceased spouse claimed early or late, whether she is still working, and whether waiting could create a larger lifetime income. This is why the usual advice, just file right away, can backfire. It may be fine for one widow and damaging for another. A widow age 72 may have a completely different answer than a widow age 61. A widow who never worked outside the home may have a different answer than a retired nurse with her own strong earnings record. A widow who needs money this month may have a different answer than a widow with savings who can wait. And this is why the decision should never be treated like routine paperwork. It is a lifetime income decision. Let's start with a fictional but realistic example. Imagine Linda. Linda is 62. Her husband Paul was 67 when he passed away. Paul had the larger Social Security check. Linda worked part-time for many years, but she spent much of her life raising children and helping care for her mother. Her own Social Security retirement benefit is smaller than Paul's. After the funeral, Linda is overwhelmed. The bills are still arriving. The electric company still wants payment. The homeowner's insurance is due. Her daughter says, "Mom, call Social Security and get Dad's benefit switched over." So Linda calls. She hears that she may be eligible for survivor benefits. She thinks, good, that is what I need. She files as soon as she can. The check helps. But months later, a friend tells her, "Did you know your survivor check might have been larger if you waited?" Linda is stunned. No one at the funeral home explained it. Her daughter did not know. Her husband never mentioned it. And Linda thought Social Security automatically gave a widow the best possible amount. That belief is one of the most dangerous assumptions in retirement. Social Security can explain options, but it does not live inside your budget. It does not know your family's long-term plan unless you ask the right questions. It does not automatically make the emotional decision for you. And once a reduced survivor benefit is started, the reduction may follow the widow for life. The mistake is not taking the benefit. The mistake is filing without first asking, what happens if I wait? What happens if I take my own benefit first? What happens if I take the survivor benefit first? What is my check at 60, 62, 65, full retirement age, and 70? That one set of questions may change everything. Now let's explain the rule in plain English. A survivor benefit is a monthly benefit that may be paid to a surviving spouse, surviving divorced spouse, child, or certain dependent family members when someone who worked and paid Social Security taxes dies. For a widow or widower, the benefit is connected to the deceased spouse's earnings record. But the amount is not always one simple number. Age matters. If a surviving spouse claims before survivor full retirement age, the survivor benefit may be reduced. If she waits until survivor full retirement age, she may be able to receive up to the full survivor amount available in her situation. SSA notes survivor full retirement age is between 66 and 67, and it is not always the same as retirement full retirement age. That detail is easy to miss. People often know their retirement full retirement age. They may have seen it on a Social Security statement. They may know they can claim retirement benefits as early as 62. They may know waiting until 70 can increase their own retirement benefit. But survivor benefits have their own timing rules. A widow may be able to claim survivor benefits as early as age 60 or age 50 if disabled. But early does not mean full. Early means available, and available does not always mean best. This is where the paperwork becomes more powerful than the promise. The promise in a marriage may have been, "I'll take care of you." The promise in the family may have been, "Dad's higher check will protect mom." But the filing age can determine how much of that protection actually arrives each month. Now let's look at the first hidden danger. Many widows believe Social Security survivor benefits work exactly like life insurance. With life insurance, if the policy pays $100,000, the beneficiary usually expects the $100,000, assuming the policy is valid and premiums were paid. But Social Security is not a life insurance check. It is a monthly benefit with eligibility rules, age rules, earnings rules, remarriage rules, and coordination rules with your own retirement benefit. That means two widows whose husbands had the same earnings history may not receive the same monthly amount if they claim at different ages or have different personal records. Consider two sisters, both widowed. Carol claims at 60. She needs the income immediately because her husband handled the bills and there is very little savings. Janet waits until survivor full retirement age because she is still working and has enough savings to bridge the gap. Carol may receive a reduced survivor benefit. Janet may receive a larger monthly survivor amount later. Carol's choice may still be the right choice if she needed income to survive. But it should be a conscious choice, not an accidental one. That difference is the heart of this video. The mistake is not always claiming early. The mistake is claiming early because no one explained the cost. The second hidden danger is assuming the widow should always take the deceased spouse's benefit immediately. This is especially important when the surviving spouse has her own work record. A widow may have two possible benefit paths. She may have her own retirement benefit based on her earnings. She may also qualify for survivor benefits based on the deceased spouse's record. She generally does not receive both full amounts stacked together. Instead, the benefits coordinate so the total reflects the higher applicable benefit. But the timing can create planning choices. In some cases, a widow may claim one benefit first and switch later to another benefit if it becomes larger. SSA's Manage Benefits page notes a person can submit a new application to switch benefits, such as changing from survivor benefits to their own retirement benefit. This can be powerful. Imagine Angela, age 61. Her husband passed away at 68. Angela has a modest survivor benefit available now, but she also has her own retirement benefit that could become larger if she waits. If Angela files the wrong way without asking questions, she may reduce the wrong benefit, miss a better sequence, or misunderstand what she is locking in. A better conversation might sound like this. What is my survivor amount if I claim now? What is it if I wait until survivor full retirement age? What is my own retirement benefit at 62, full retirement age, and 70? Can I claim one type of benefit first and switch later? Will earnings limits apply if I keep working? Is my survivor full retirement age different from my retirement full retirement age? Those are not casual questions. Those are protection questions. They turn a rushed filing into an informed decision. The third hidden danger is the widow who is still working. This one can be painful because nothing feels wrong at first. A widow in her early 60s may still be working part-time at a school, hospital, grocery store, office, church, or family business. She may claim survivor benefits because she needs extra income after her husband dies. But if she is under full retirement age and still earning wages, Social Security's earnings rules may affect payments. This does not mean working is bad. It does not mean benefits are lost forever in every case. But it does mean the widow needs to understand how work and benefits interact before filing. Picture Denise. Denise is 62 and works 3 days a week at a dental office. Her husband dies unexpectedly. Denise files for survivor benefits because she is frightened. She assumes the benefit will simply arrive every month. Then she learns that because she is still working and under the applicable age threshold, some benefits may be withheld depending on earnings. Now she is confused. She had counted on that check. She already adjusted her budget around it. This is where a widow may feel betrayed by the system, when the real problem was that no one slowed the process down enough to ask, "Are you still working? And how much do you expect to earn this year?" Before filing, a widow who is still working should ask Social Security to explain the current earnings limit and how it applies to survivor benefits in her situation. She should also ask whether waiting, reducing work hours, or using another source of cash temporarily could create a better long-term outcome. Again, this is not one-size-fits-all advice. For some widows, claiming now is still necessary, but when the check may be reduced because of age and affected because of earnings, the decision deserves careful review. The fourth hidden danger is the widow who believes the deceased spouse's amount is automatically fixed. The deceased spouse's claiming history can matter. If the deceased spouse claimed retirement benefits early, that may affect what is available. If the deceased spouse delayed and earned delayed retirement credits, that may also affect the survivor calculation. SSA's handbook says a widow or widower's insurance benefit rate can include the deceased worker's delayed retirement credits. In plain English, the choices made while both spouses were alive may echo into widowhood. This is why married couples over 60 should not look at Social Security as two separate checks. They should look at it as a household protection system. The higher earner's claiming decision may become the survivor's income later. Now imagine Robert and Marie. Robert is 62 and wants to claim Social Security early because he is tired of working. Marie is 59 and has a smaller work record. Robert thinks, "It is my benefit. I earned it. I want it now." That may be understandable, but if Robert is the higher earner and Marie may one day depend on a survivor benefit, Robert's early claiming decision may affect not only him, but Marie's future widow income. This does not mean every higher earner must wait until 70. Health, savings, workability, family history, and cash needs matter. But couples should at least discuss the survivor impact before the higher earner files. The hidden mistake happens when the couple only asks, "How much do we get now?" They also need to ask, "What happens to the surviving spouse later?" That is the question that protects the widow. The fifth hidden danger is remarriage. This topic can feel sensitive, but it matters. Some widows rebuild their lives. Some find companionship again. Some remarry. That can be a beautiful thing. But Social Security survivor benefit eligibility can be affected by remarriage depending on age and circumstances. SSA states that remarriage after age 60 generally does not prevent entitlement to benefits on a prior deceased spouse's record. The key phrase is after age 60. A widow who remarries before understanding the rules may accidentally affect eligibility. A disabled widow has additional rules that may involve age 50. The details should be checked directly with Social Security before making assumptions. Picture Evelyn. Evelyn is 59. Her husband died 3 years ago. She reconnects with someone from her past and plans to remarry. She is not thinking about Social Security. She is thinking about companionship, loneliness, and the chance to start again. A friend mentions, "You should ask Social Security before the wedding." At first, Evelyn is offended. Money should not control love. But this is not about letting money control love. It is about making sure a widow understands the financial consequences of a legal decision. If waiting a few months changes eligibility, that is information a widow deserves before signing a marriage certificate. The protection step is simple. Before remarriage, especially before age 60, ask Social Security directly how remarriage may affect survivor benefits. If you are a surviving divorced spouse, a disabled widow, or have a complicated family situation, ask even more carefully. Love and paperwork can both be real. Ignoring the paperwork does not make it disappear. The sixth hidden danger is divorce history. Many older Americans do not realize that a surviving divorced spouse may qualify for survivor benefits on an ex-spouse's record if certain rules are met. This can matter for women who were married for many years, divorced later in life, and never remarried before the relevant age. This does not mean every ex-spouse qualifies. It does not mean the family can assume, but it does mean that a divorced widow should not automatically dismiss the possibility. Imagine Patricia. Patricia was married to her first husband for 24 years. They divorced when she was 58. He later died. Patricia never asked about survivor benefits because she assumed divorce ended everything. Years later, someone at a senior center tells her, "You should check." That one conversation may reveal an option she did not know existed. The consequence of not checking can be years of missed income. The protection step is to gather marriage dates, divorce dates, death information, and Social Security records if available. Then ask SSA directly about surviving divorced spouse eligibility. Do not rely on family gossip. Do not rely on what an ex-in-law says. Do not assume the divorce decree answers the Social Security question. Social Security has its own rules. The seventh hidden danger is assuming the funeral home handles everything. In many cases, a funeral home may report a death to Social Security, but that does not mean the widow has filed the right application, chosen the right timing, or reviewed all options. Reporting a death and applying for survivor benefits are not the same as creating a long-term claiming strategy. This is where many families get confused. An adult child may say, "Mom, the funeral home already notified Social Security, so you are done," but the widow may not be done. She may need to apply. She may need to provide documents. She may need to review whether to claim now or later. She may need to understand whether a final payment must be returned if it was paid for the month of death. She may need to ask about the lump sum death payment if eligible. She may need to coordinate her own benefit with the survivor benefit. This is not something to handle while half listening during a grief-filled week. A widow should create a Social Security appointment folder. In that folder, she should place the death certificate, marriage certificate, prior divorce papers if relevant, her Social Security number, the deceased spouse's information, bank information, work estimate for the year, and a written list of questions. That written list matters because grief affects memory. A widow may think she will remember everything on the phone, but when the representative starts explaining benefit amounts, dates, and options, it is easy to become overwhelmed. A prepared list turns grief into a process. Not a perfect process, not an easy process, but a safer one. The eighth hidden danger is the adult child who pushes too fast. Adult children often mean well. They see mom scared. They see bills piling up. They want to fix something. They may say, "Just file now. You need the money." Sometimes they are right, but sometimes the adult child does not understand the lifetime cost of early claiming. If the widow has enough savings for a short bridge, or if she is still working, or if her own benefit could grow, it may be worth slowing down long enough to compare options. This is not about delaying for the sake of delaying. It is about measuring. A family can ask Social Security for estimates at different claiming ages. They can speak with a qualified retirement professional. They can review cash flow. They can decide whether using savings for 6 months or a year might protect a higher lifetime benefit. Or they may decide claiming now is necessary and appropriate. But the choice should be made with numbers on the table. Not fear, not pressure, not guesswork. Here is a sentence every adult child should remember. "Mom, before we file, let's ask what this does to your monthly check for the rest of your life." That sentence can protect a widow from a rushed decision. The ninth hidden danger is thinking a small reduction does not matter. Let's say a widow reduces her potential check by $200 per month by claiming early. That may not sound enormous, but $200 a month is $2,400 a year. Over 10 years, that is $24,000 before considering cost of living adjustments or other changes. Over 20 years, that is $48,000. For a widow living alone, that money may be the difference between staying current and falling behind. It may cover Medicare premiums. It may cover prescriptions. It may cover winter heating bills. It may cover repairs that prevent a home from becoming unsafe. A survivor benefit is not just a number. It is dignity. It is independence. It is fewer emergency calls to children. It is the ability to say, "I can handle this month." This is why the decision deserves care. Now, before this sounds overwhelming, here is the good news. The protection steps are not complicated. You do not need to become a Social Security expert. You do not need to memorize every rule. You do not need to calculate your benefit by hand at the kitchen table. But you do need to ask the right questions before filing. And you need to understand that survivor benefits are not always automatic, not always full, and not always best when claimed immediately. First, do not file in a panic unless there is no other choice. Grief creates urgency. Bills create fear. But when possible, take time to understand the decision. If you truly need the money now, that matters. But if you have a little breathing room, use it to compare benefit options. Second, ask Social Security for survivor benefit estimates at different ages. Ask what the benefit would be if claimed now. Ask what it would be at survivor full retirement age. Ask whether the amount changes month by month or at key ages. Ask what happens if you wait. Do not settle for, "You are eligible." Eligibility is not the same as maximum benefit. Third, compare the survivor benefit with your own retirement benefit. Ask what your own retirement benefit would be at 62, full retirement age, and 70. Ask whether you can claim one benefit now and switch later. Ask what filing for one benefit does or does not do to the other. This is especially important for widows who worked and have their own earnings record. Fourth, ask about work and earnings limits if you are still employed. If you are under full retirement age and still earning wages, ask exactly how earnings may affect payments. Write the answer down. Ask what income counts and what does not. Ask whether your expected work schedule changes the recommendation. Fifth, review the deceased spouse's claiming history. Did your spouse claim early, at full retirement age, after full retirement age? Did he or she earn delayed retirement credits? This may affect the survivor calculation. If you do not know, ask Social Security to explain what record they are using. Sixth, ask about remarriage before making legal decisions. If you are widowed and considering remarriage, especially before age 60, speak with Social Security before the wedding. This is not unromantic. It is responsible. You deserve to know whether remarriage affects benefits. Seventh, surviving divorced spouses should check eligibility. If you were married for many years and your ex-spouse has died, do not assume you are ineligible. Ask. Gather the marriage certificate, divorce decree, dates, and any records you have. The answer may matter. Eighth, create a Social Security widow folder. Keep copies of the death certificate, marriage certificate, divorce records if any, bank details, Social Security statements, notes from calls, appointment dates, and the names or identification numbers of representatives you speak with, if provided. Ninth, bring another person to the conversation if you are overwhelmed. A trusted adult child, friend, or advisor can help take notes. They should not pressure you. Their job is to listen, write down options, and help you ask clear questions. 10th, speak with a qualified professional if the decision is complex. This may include a financial planner familiar with Social Security claiming, an elder law attorney for broader planning, or a tax professional if retirement accounts, pensions, or taxes are involved. Do not change your claiming strategy based only on a video. Use this as a checklist for a careful conversation. The Social Security survivor mistake that can cut a widow's check for life is not simply claiming survivor benefits. It is claiming without understanding the timing. A widow may be eligible as early as 60 or earlier in certain disability situations, but early claiming can mean a smaller monthly survivor benefit. Waiting until survivor full retirement age may allow a larger survivor amount, depending on the record and the situation. The danger is that the decision often happens during grief. The widow is tired, the children are worried, bills are coming in, everyone wants the paperwork finished, and in that emotional moment, the family may focus only on getting a check started, not on how much that check could be for the rest of her life. So do not panic. But do not rush blindly. Ask for the numbers. Compare the survivor benefit with your own retirement benefit. Ask about switching strategies. Ask about earnings if you still work. Ask about remarriage. Ask about surviving divorced spouse eligibility. Ask how your deceased spouse's claiming age affects the calculation. This is not about squeezing every last dollar from a system. It is about protecting the surviving spouse. Because after a husband or wife dies, the widow should not lose income simply because no one explained the rules in plain English. The check that arrives every month may become the foundation of her independence. Protecting that check protects the home, the groceries, the medicine, the property taxes, the car, the heating bill, and the quiet dignity of not having to ask for help before it is truly needed. If this topic applies to you or someone in your family, share this with the person who helps handle the paperwork. And in the comments, write "Survivor" if you want a simple checklist of the questions a widow should ask Social Security before filing. Also tell me which topic you want explained next: survivor benefits, spousal benefits, remarriage rules, Social Security after divorce, or how widows can avoid paperwork mistakes after a spouse dies. The goal is not fear. The goal is protection, because one careful question before filing may protect a widow's check for the rest of her life.